it does take us away from our moment to moment experiences. And we tend to miss a lot of what life offers us.
Eve from Headspace, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I was
Well,
excited.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, this is so great. So this is the voice of Netflix. I mean, I think you should be the voice of all Netflix, just to be clear. But it's so awesome to have the opportunity to meet you, and thank you so much for everything that you're doing with this show and how important it is for society in general, and specific to us at Banfield. We're super excited to have this opportunity. And I know us and Headspace have some fun things in common around how we define health and well-being. We have 5 different domains of health and well-being at Banfield. It's healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, healthy career, and healthy community. And one of the things that we've been really focused in on is our associate experience of the future, and what can we do to make a better world for our associates so they can make a better world for pets. And one of the things coming out of the pandemic was we offered all of our associates free 6 months of Headspace. And I didn't think that was enough. We had so many people loving it, and the feedback was so good. We're extending that for another 6 months to finish out the whole year with Headspace. And so thank you for everything that you've done, and thank you for what Headspace means to all of our associates. So I'll pause there and let you respond.
Well, thank you so much, Brian. And I'm just, yeah, we're really grateful to have you as partners, and so happy to hear that it's been of a benefit, and that you are continuing it. So thank you so
Yes.
much for everyone's support. And, it's hearing you talk about, your values and your mission. We have a lot of alignment there at Headspace. Our mission is very much to improve the health and happiness of the world. It's a big mission,
Yes.
something that we work day in, day out to deliver on. But we really believe that the core essentials to a sort of healthy, happy life really start with taking care of the mind and the body, as the
Yeah.
two are really, really interconnected, but often feel probably very disconnected. And so through the tools of meditation and mindfulness, we help to bring, a greater sense of awareness, of compassion into people's lives. And that was, one of the main reasons I first tried meditation, gosh, 10 years ago or so now. And I was very, very skeptical about it, very skeptical about it. But I was experiencing a huge amount of stress and anxiety in my life. My mind and body were very, very disconnected. And I didn't really have the tools available to me to know
Hmm.
how to manage the difficulties that I was facing. And it's also how our founder, Andy Puddicombe, came into meditation and mindfulness. Being human sometimes is really, really tough.
It's very
Uh,
tough.
and, I think this past year has really, really tested the human condition. But more than that, life is made up of many ups, downs, twists, turns, crossroads, and it isn't always going to be an even playing field. And so if we can find and build these tools and skills to help us bring a greater sense of connection to our lives, we miss so much about what life offers us,
Right.
and to build our awareness, our connections with other human beings, even the pets that we take care of,
Right.
we're better able to build that resiliency and those
Hmm.
skills for when the ups and the downs happen. So.
The resiliency is so important, and this is a beautiful opening. So thank you for what you shared and how you said it. I mean, going through this pandemic, it was incredibly tough. And whether it was, a lot of our associates are working in hospitals, and so they were still going into their proverbial office, if you will. And we keep hearing about so many people across the country that haven't been able to. You had to work from home. And that blending of personal and professional lives it's not even blurry. It's not even, I mean, there are no more lines. And it's been incredibly tough. I mean, for me, like what I'll share, I'm a huge creature of habit. Like habits are everything for me. And my habits were disrupted. And when I worked out, when I would wake up, what I would do was really I had so many things I would do in my life that were automatic that I wasn't thinking, which I could save my time and energy to think on the work I should be working on and doing, that all that was thrown out of the window. And next thing you know, my eating habits were poor, my sleeping habits were poor, my exercise habits were poor, my thinking habits were poor. I probably wasn't a good friend to a lot of people because I wasn't listening, intently. And it's just amazing. And it's just fascinating to have, like Headspace as a partner that can help so many people. And it's just absolutely powerful, the power of routine and what resiliency can do, and quickly I'll just share this. I actually did yoga 12 years ago, and I started yoga because my knees were starting to bother me, and I wanted to do some type of exercise that were going to help rehabilitate my knees so I can continue playing basketball and tennis. And like 6 months into it, I couldn't wait to get out of the yoga room. At first, my first sessions where I couldn't wait to get out, like you're doing the shavasana at the end, and I'm like the first person up. Let's go. Let's get out of here. I got to go to work now. I got to do this. And then I remember it's probably 6 months into it, I was always the last person to leave the class because I found that everything I was doing was in service of having that time to calm my mind and end where I can just think and essentially meditate, and how powerful that was for me personally and in my life. So this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well, as I said, the mind-body connection is often really, really disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And we might be physically present, but our mind is elsewhere. And we spend so much of our time not in the present moment, lost in thoughts. A lot of us spend a significant amount of time in a future that maybe hasn't happened yet, worrying. And obviously this past year, this pandemic has really exacerbated that
Right.
sense of fear and worry, which is totally normal and natural. And at the same time, we've perhaps been ruminating over things that have passed and our previous life and how things were, and all of that is again, it's all part of the human experience, but it does take us away from our moment to moment experiences, and we tend to miss a lot of what life offers us.
Right.
And so that mind body connection is really, really, really important. And so we do spend a lot of time and focus on bringing the two together, because
Mm-hmm.
often what is happening in the body is a reflection of what is happening in the mind, and vice versa. But there is just a disconnect there. And that was definitely
Powerful.
my experience. When I was experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety, my body physically rebelled against me. I had a skin disorder, I lost weight, I was, irritable, temperamental, probably not a very nice person to be around, but I just kind of wasn't making the connection. And it's also why Andy, our founder, went and not many people are going to go and train as a Buddhist monk, but he experienced a series of very tragic losses at a very young age, in his early 20s. People very close to him died very suddenly, and he wasn't able to navigate that period of time, and so he felt pretty strongly that he wanted to understand his own mind and understand his pain and suffering and neurosis, something that we all have and experience. And so I guess lucky for us that he did that, as otherwise perhaps I wouldn't be sat here having this conversation. But the mind-body connection is very real, and it needs nurturing.
It does need nurturing. I want to just repeat something that you said. I think it's incredibly powerful. Often the body is a reflection of our mind, and can be vice versa. And this is an invitation for all of us who's on this call now, who will watch this later on, to really do that work around curiosity, to understand how do you feel during the day, understanding when you wake up during the day and during the afternoon, maybe even in the evening, and all these different habits that we have. Having that curiosity to understand, are we truly in step with one another as a person? And if not, recognizing maybe some times and when we can't be, and then how do we get the help? So I would love to hear a little bit about, well, specifically and selfishly, I'm a huge fan of sleep. I jokingly say, if I had a superpower, that would be my superpower, because I love sleep. I can sleep at almost any time. And watching the series, I love the episode on not having your phone in front of your face before bed. So luckily, that's well, I shouldn't say luckily. It's a bad habit of mine, but luckily I can fall asleep. But it is interesting how it does impact the quality of sleep. I would love for people to hear from you about the importance of that one.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think, yeah, yeah, definitely are lucky that you can fall asleep very easily. There's a lot of folks who, who struggle with sleep. And I think this past year in particular has exacerbated that, tenfold. But, the way I sort of approach it and think about it, and a lot of this has come through, my own personal training and attempted, fails at working with my own sleep struggles over the years. But how we sleep is really impacted by what we are doing in our day. And that might sound like a really obvious thing to say, but most of us lead very busy, very full days, and we can start the day, and then before we know it, it's the end of the day, and then we're heading to bed. We haven't necessarily put any space between what we're doing in the day. And by space, I don't mean like hours and hours of time, little moments where we can check in with ourselves, take a few deep breaths, connect in with our, sensations in the body, our surroundings, so that when we get to bed, we aren't going to bed with the entire day coming with us.
Right.
Because for a lot of folks, the reason and I've experienced this as well, we struggle to literally switch off is because the mind is still going. We haven't given the mind and body any time to slow down, to kind of come together. And like I said, I said before, the body might be physically present, but the mind is elsewhere. When you go to bed, you switch off the lights, and maybe you've just been responding to emails or looking on social media or responding to a text message. These things really activate the mind. And particularly so if you're dealing with perhaps a challenging email, or you're, say, emailing with your boss, or a friend has sent you a message that has worried you about something, that can really activate the stress response in the body, which is actually intended to keep you awake. The body releases hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, really keeping you in a higher state of vigilance. So that period before bed can be really, really, really helpful. Maybe just 20 minutes, 30 minutes, where we are actively slowing down both the mind and the body, so that when you do get into bed, it's a little bit easier to let go of the day and to switch off. And we have a huge section in the Headspace app, which maybe you're familiar with, on sleep. Sleep is a huge component of our health and our happiness. If we're not getting enough sleep, I mean, I'm no fun to be around when I'm tired and grouchy.
Neither am I, by the way. It's bad.
So, if we can, we have a lot of tools and resources there for winding down, for doing some meditations at the end of the day. But also meditating in the day is also really, really effective for helping us sleep at night, which might sound counterintuitive. But again, it's about introducing those moments of pause, those moments of space, so that when you do go to bed, you are actually more ready for bed.
That's powerful. You heard it from the master sleeper here, I would say.
I would.
Oh, I'm going to say, I can say it for you. It's okay. Well, it's interesting. The story I shared on yoga was powerful. I had no idea how important mindfulness was. And I was, like I said, I was doing this so I could get a health benefit. And then I ended up moving and my routine changed, and I just felt different when that's not away from me. And then the same thing on sleep. It was powerful for me to understand, like, gosh, why am I so grumpy today, or why am I not making it through the day? And then I started keeping sleep logs and understanding, and miraculously enough, when I would get like about 8 hours of sleep, I felt great throughout the entire day, and life was good. When I went to bed late at night and woke up at 5 in the morning, because that's when I had to get up for a call or whatever, but I didn't change when I went to bed, I was grumpy during the day. And so I started really reading on sleep. So I thought it'd be great for everyone to hear from you. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention and ask you about sleep then is, there's always been this myth on like when people, are you a night owl or a morning person? And it was always acceptable to be an early riser, but if you were like a late night person, that wasn't a good thing. So can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we all have our individual relationship with sleep, and that's actually what the show, the Netflix show, really dives into, all about the different habits and approaches that we have and effectively, yeah, our relationship with sleep. And this came up in one of the episodes, because some people quite simply are better in the morning, and some people are quite simply better in the evening. Now, that doesn't mean just because you're a night owl that you can't have restorative and restful sleep. I think the same thing applies. It's like, even if you're doing work right up, later into the evening, just making sure that you are putting that little bit of space before just because it is late, before when you actually finish what it is you're doing and then going to bed. Because the more we take the day with us, the harder it is for the mind to settle down. And actually, in some of the research that we, talk about in the show, that it is important to focus on like the bedtime time, but it's actually more important to look at having a more regular wake up time. So, or having a more consistent wake up time, even at the weekend. So the flip flopping between.
Come on, Eve.
I
Come
know.
on.
I'm sorry. The flip flopping between wake up times in the morning puts a bit of a toll on our circadian rhythm, which is our body's natural way of knowing when we should go to bed and wake up. Melatonin release is kind of governed by that as well. So it's really about knowing what works for you. And so if you're a night owl, that's absolutely fine. My husband's a night owl. I'm not. And that's completely fine. And he does recognize now. It's taken me a while to get some of these points across to him. But if he's on his laptop until midnight and then tries to go to bed straight away, he finds it really hard to fall asleep. So it's honestly about finding what works for you and working with the tools that are available in things like the Netflix show and things like Headspace, but also, there are a lot of resources on sleep these days.
Yeah, there are a lot of resources, and it's so incredibly important. And this week, again, about being your best self, this Health and Wellbeing week at Banfield, I'm so proud of our team, of everyone on our Health and Wellbeing team. Thank you all for what you're doing. Lisa, Scott, Una, the entire team, everyone, Michelle, thank you so much for everyone what you're doing. We're really focused on making a better world for pets. But in order for us to do that, we have to make a better world for people. And so for all of our associates, we're so focused on that intersection of pet health and societal well-being. And mental health is a big issue in society. And we have a responsibility to understand it better and to have tools and resources. So we're super excited that Headspace is a great partner for us. And if you're using the app, please continue to use the app and tell all your friends about it. If you're not using the app, check it out. There are so many amazing tips on there. And one of my favorite things, like I said, is sleep. So I've a little selfishly talking to Eve about understanding some things on sleep. But check out Guide to Sleep on Netflix, and here's the voice of that series. So thank you so much. Now, I'd be missing an opportunity if we couldn't do like a little meditation or some sort. Guide me through something powerful, because you shared a few minutes ago the power of doing a meditation during the day, and I'm awful at that. And there are so many times in which going from meeting to meeting, and specifically on Zoom, it's like video after video, Microsoft Teams, which I love Microsoft Teams, it's great, but when you do 8 hours of it, you don't have that break. So I'm gonna make a commitment, Eve. I'm gonna work on meditating during the day. And so today, all streaks start at 1. So today's my first streak. So maybe you can help me with this.
Totally. And actually, so the meditation I want to offer is actually really, really good little check-in that you can do during the day as a good way to come into the body, bring that mind-body connection together. And you don't need loads of time. We'll just take maybe 3-4 minutes max. And I hear you on the back-to-back Zooms. It's really tough. Like, there's no denying it. But I think, and what I do is I trick, the system a bit. I put in these little moments in my day as blocked meetings so that I can just have a minute to pause. Okay. All
Okay.
right, let's do this. So
Okay.
you can sit in a chair as I'm doing, but folks watching wherever you are, if you're standing, that's totally fine as well. Or if you're at home and you're lying down, that's cool too. So we're going to do a little exercise where we just check in with some of our senses. So the first one is going to be visual. So I just like to invite you to just take a look around the space that you're in. So really just taking a moment to just maybe bring your head from left to right. And this isn't an opportunity to put together a list of things to do. You're really just noticing what is in the space that you're in. What can you see that you haven't seen for a while? What colors can you see? And then going back around. And then gradually just settling in the middle again. And so now I invite you to use your ears. Something we have the privilege of being able to hear, and noticing what you can hear in the space that you're in. So both sounds in the room that you're in, but also sounds outside of the room. Might be the sound of the breath going in and out of the nose. It's quite rare that we're able to tune in to what we can hear around us. And this is really effective in helping us to listen to others. And then moving on to connecting in with our body. So taking a moment now to just bring your awareness into the body, noticing your posture, how you're sat or how you're standing, feeling the sensation of the feet on the floor, perhaps the hands just resting in the lap. And noticing what is arising for you in this moment. Don't worry if the mind is very busy, lots of thoughts running around, but just gently guiding your awareness, your attention into the body, those different points of contact. And as you pause in this way, just softly guiding your awareness to the breath. So following each in-breath and each out-breath. Again, don't worry if the mind is getting caught up in a story, in thoughts. Each time you notice, just gently coming back to the breath. And then starting to wiggle the fingers, the toes, just noticing the points of contact as we just end that very short practice.
Wow, that was awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Of course.
All
So
streaks start at one, and we got
all
a lot
streets
of
start at
people
one.
on this as well with me. So you have my commitment to make this part of my routine now. It was so powerful, and just that reflection on how mindfulness has meant to me in the past, and it takes the intentionality to create the habits and to keep the habits and maintain the habits. And there's so much that happens in our life. We're not going to be perfect at it, but being intentional about it and is important.
Definitely. And I recognize, you have people all over the country who are going into a really busy hospital environment. They may not always be able to take time out. They might be on different schedules, working later or working
Mhm.
earlier. And so these are just some tools and resources that can be done like during the day on the go, just taking those little mini moments where you can just connect in with the body and the mind can be
Mhm.
really, really helpful for those times that you maybe
Powerful.
aren't able to set aside a longer period of meditation.
It's powerful. Well, the question I was thinking about was every day in our hospitals, we do huddles. And we take 10 to 15 minutes. We essentially stop what we're doing and talk as a team, what's working, what's not working, what's happening in the day. If we can find time to talk about how busy we are and all the pets that are coming in, I wonder if we could just take even 3 minutes as a team just to be mindful and just silent almost and just take in that second. And I think the other thing, we have a lot of our hospitals inside PetSmart locations, and we've been trying to put break rooms in all of them so they have a dedicated break room, but it may be too loud just given it's next to the treatment area. But how do we encourage our associates to maybe even go to the car and take your, not, you don't have to eat your lunch in the car, but like go for the other 15 minutes you have off. If you're taking time, go in your car and just and take that moment for yourself to really ground yourself. That was a powerful meditation. It was a powerful experience. So thank you for taking me to that. And I would
Of course.
love to bring someone else into this conversation because I
Lovely.
want you to
Yeah,
hear how amazing you all have been. And so please give Andy our best as well. But
we will.
we
Yes.
have Michelle from one of our hospitals who is a huge fan. And I'm going to invite her in a second here. So she should be coming on any moment, hopefully. And she's a huge fan, and she wants to talk about what Headspace has meant to her and her team.
Oh,
So we
amazing.
will see if Michelle, there's a request from Banfield, Memphis. Send. Okay, so I just sent it to her. So hopefully she'll join us in any second. And if not, I can tell you how excited she was and how many of our associates truly appreciate this. It's been absolutely amazing. And while we are celebrating Health and Wellbeing Week, we have to also remember that this is not something that is only 1 week of the year. We
Yeah.
need to celebrate this week and be excited about some things that we're attending, what we're learning. But I always like to say information is not, knowledge is not power. Information is not power. Implementation of the knowledge, implementation is power. So, Michelle,
Hi,
Hi.
hello, hello.
hi, how are you guys doing? It's great to be here with you.
Hi,
Welcome.
Michelle.
Hi, how are you, Eve? Nice to meet you.
It's so nice to meet you. How are you doing?
Great. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. I'm really, really excited to be part of this conversation. Feel a lot of gratitude to be here.
Same here. Thank you guys for both having me on.
Absolutely. So, Michelle, I just had an amazing experience. I know that you're a raving fan of Eve and Headspace, and so we want to hear from you about how important this has been for you and your hospital. So, I was lucky enough to go through a meditation, and I just made my commitment that I'm going to do that every single day going forward. I'm going to incorporate that. It's my new habit. So, this week is about being our best selves, about self-care. It's so important to us, not just this industry, but it's important to society. And we want to make sure that we're giving all of our associates tools and resources to be their best selves at home and at work. So
Oh,
Michelle, the floor is yours.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. Well, my name is Michelle. I'm the current practice manager here at the Memphis location. I've been with the practice for almost 9 years, and I've been the practice manager for almost 3 of those. So it's been a very fun journey, to say the least. But I really stumbled upon the whole health and well-being probably in this last year. As Eve mentioned, last year was a very hard year. Every day was different. You didn't know what was going to happen from one day to the next. It really wasn't until towards the end of the year where things seemed to kind of settle down and you started getting back into a routine and a pattern. And in doing so, I knew I wanted to find some type of an outlet, whether it was for me or for my team, to really engage in something um, to decompress, more or less, because it was just every day was we just saw an unprecedented amount of patients, right? So I got inspired by a fellow PM of mine in my previous market. Shout out to Team Hoover and Miss D. Her team, they were doing what was Wellness Wednesdays. And from there, I was like, I want to share that same fun, loving spirit with my team. And then it wasn't until towards the end of last year when Banfield introduced the Calm the Chaos cards. And then at the beginning of the year, we had Headspace. So I knew that was my sign to bring that to my team. And it was important for me to really make sure that I kind of championed that for my team. And again, it wasn't easy. I felt some days I was by myself with it, and they were just kind of looking at me like, why is this crazy person trying to introduce me to this weird yoga pose or give me this weird word of affirmation? But I just knew, just like the theme of self-care, you just have to start somewhere. Yeah. And those that want to be a part of that journey will follow along with you, right? And that's what we did, and that's what we continue to do here. My team loves it. One of the things that we love to do the most together is utilize the Headspace app for the meditation moments. We also use it for the breathing exercises. I have associates that come to me and like, hey, Michelle, it's not Wellness Wednesday, but can we incorporate one of these breathing techniques or exercises into one of our huddles today? And I'm like, absolutely. And I've also had associates share with me that they, utilize this app on their own time. And I'm hoping, that message spreads to their friends and family as well. And that's all I can hope to get out of starting this whole journey, was that I was inspired by others, and I hope that me and my team continue to inspire others as well.
Oh, Michelle, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so, so happy that it's been a support to you and the team, and you're inspiring to me for sharing your journey and your experience. Like, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Really love your app.
Well, that's great. Michelle, thank you for sharing. That's so powerful, and continue to just be the role model. Cast the shadow of how important it is to you, your team. Have your team do the same thing, and talk to other practice managers. If a practice manager inspired you, think about how many practice managers you can inspire. And
exactly,
the goal today, we're gonna have thousands of people watch this video, and I want to make sure they all get inspired by what you're saying, because we have almost 20,000 associates across the country, and whatever and wherever everyone's on their journey, it's important that we can have that support. We have tools and resources, and we can take that time for ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves first, it's hard to take care of others. And I think the other thing I'll share is, like you said it a couple of times, Eve, about when you didn't get sleep, and it resonated with me. Like, I'm not my best, and when I'm not at my best, I'm impacting so many other people, whether I think I am or not. And if I'm not at my best, I'm not giving my team or our associates the best that I can offer, and I'm letting not just myself down, I'm letting everyone else down, and it's just so powerful. And There's just so many habits that we can create. There's so much learning. There's so many tools on the Headspace app. Please take an opportunity to look at that app, find a way to incorporate it. And then we have other tools and resources available this week. And so thank you, Michelle, for sharing. Eve, thank you so much for all that you're doing. It's so great to talk with you. Thank you for those tips on sleep. It's so incredibly important for me. It's one of the things that I always have to try to figure out, like, how do I get my 8 hours of sleep, or at least 7.5? Because if I'm not, it's bad. So I gotta do a better job, though.
Actually, there is a bit of a myth around the 8 hours. So I, for most of my life, or adult life at least, believed that in order to get restful, restorative sleep, I had to sleep 8 hours a night. And actually, that's not necessarily true. For some people it might be, but the kind of sweet spot is really between 7 and 9 hours. But it is going to change over a lifetime. Like when we're younger, kids growing up, we need more sleep. As we get older, maybe that changes a little bit. So don't put too much pressure on that 8 hours, because I think it's more about listening to what your body needs.
Got it. Understood. And it's about, I'll be honest, I wasn't really happy about this advice that Eve gave us, Michelle. I won't be too happy. Like, it's about, I can't sleep in on the weekends. I'm supposed to get up.
Every now and again, it's totally fine to have, catch up on some sleep, but it's more about the, having that consistency with the wake sleep rhythm. And the more able you are to get up at the same time every day, and get up as, if possible, as soon as your alarm goes off. Now, I am queen snooze. I love to snooze. But I've actually found that if I get up straight out of bed, even though it's so hard, I do actually wake up faster. And if you can get into some sunlight or some light, put all the lights on, if that's possible in the bedroom or in the living area, and just flood the body with light, because that, again, helps you to wake up faster. So, again, we're not always going to get it right.
That's a good tip.
Some days you're gonna want to snooze, and that's fine. But just knowing that, these are things that we know we can do, and it's about finding the rhythm that works for you.
That's very, very important, and that works in so many other levels. And yeah, I love the snooze. I probably spend more time trying to calculate how I can, or if I hit snooze for 9 more minutes, that means I can get ready this much quicker. Yeah. I'm starting to do all the math, and it's probably not so good, but
I've done it as well.
But it's great. But thank you very much, and everyone, check out Guide to Sleep on Netflix. Absolutely powerful. There's other series here as well. Tell Andy, give Andy our best. But to all our associates out there, thank you for everything that you're doing. In order for you to make a better world for pets, which I'm so inspired by the work that you're doing, we got to make sure that we're taking care of one another. We got to bring our best selves to work, and it's not just being a great line manager like Michelle in the hospital or in our CTS building. It's about understanding how we bring our authentic selves to work every single day, and what we do at home impacts how we show up. And just being very mindful of that. Oftentimes things that are happening, it's not that what's happening right in front of us is just a symptom. There's something deeper. And being there for one another, being each other's Q10, is about asking powerful questions and understanding and trying a way we can help everyone on this health and well-being journey that we're all on. And it is a lifetime journey, but being there together, doing it not by yourself is important. Doing it with our friends is incredibly important as well. So lots of tools. Be your best self, not only this week, but for the remainder of your lifetimes, and enjoy Headspace for the rest of the year. And I have a tip. If you guys keep using it, it's so powerful, maybe we'll go longer with it. Eve, thank you very much. Michelle, thank you.
Thank you so much.